Okay guys, we are in some DCS here, and we are rearming and refueling. Just flew a mission where we were able to engage and eliminate an F-16 from the enemy base. And now we are going to go after their air defenses with some harm missiles to take out their SAM sites. And also we're going to carry some AIM-120 so that we can defend ourselves. So we're going to check and make sure that our power is on for our harm targeting system, which it is. Our RWR is already on. Everything's already switched on because we've already been in the air. We just landed. So we're going to wait for them to refuel and rearm the jet. You can see on the right display there's an enemy jet in the mountains. 13,000 feet. He's just above those mountains over there. And followed us back when we were coming back from our last mission. We may see some of these air defenses fire upon him if he gets any closer, but he's still a little ways out. He's still kind of at range. So what we're going to be trying to do, our goal is to take out 2 air defense sites. We're going to carry 2 harm missiles. Give you a little idea of how to use the harm missiles in the F-16. My good friend Zem actually taught me how to do this, and as complex as things are in DCS, the harm missiles are actually pretty easy to use. You just have to learn how to make sure everything's powered on, which when they get done rearming, we'll switch to air to ground and we'll power on the harm targeting pod, and then we will set up our HAD so that we can see our radar signatures and lock onto a radar signature. You see that enemy jet still just lurking out there, just kind of hanging around. Okay, so we're going to switch to air to ground. We're going to power on our harm targeting pod, switch this back to the HSD. We're going to come over here on our left display and switch to the HAD. Now the HAD is really small because we're on the ground, but as you gain altitude, the area in which it encompasses is much larger. And of course we've got everything set up for our air-to-air systems already because we already completed 1 successful mission. So we're going to taxi out of here. We're going to keep an eye on that jet that's still showing up just outside of our area right now. We may have to engage him as soon as we get airborne. You know, the F-16 is really hard to beat in DCS. It is kind of a jack of all trades. It does everything really well. Extremely lethal in air-to-air engagements, and it's also a very good air-to-ground aircraft. So we're going to switch off our nose wheel steering, take one last look. Looks like that guy might have dipped down into the mountains, or maybe the anti-air took him out. Don't see him around anymore. So we're gonna get airborne here, rotate, pull up our landing gear. You have to keep a close watch and make sure that this enemy aircraft isn't lurking in these mountains and he's not going to pop up behind us or something like that. I think the anti-air may have taken him out because I don't see him anywhere anymore. So right now we're in a full burn, and we're going to remain in a full burn until we get close to 30,000 feet, and we'll level off and back off the throttle. Go ahead and switch to air to ground mode here. As you can see, the HAD on the left display there is growing as we gain altitude, so it'll get bigger and bigger so you can encompass more and more signatures as you gain altitude. So our target altitude somewhere around 30,000 feet. We're not going to be too picky for a little over or a little under. It's no big deal. Typically like to be a little over 30,000. Climbing at a pretty high rate. Okay, we're approaching 30,000, so we're going to go ahead and level off. Well, not quite, a little bit more. Okay, so we'll go ahead and level this thing off. Ended up being at about 35,000 feet, which is fine. I'm going to crank up the brightness on our displays here because of the time of morning that it is. It's still in nighttime mode, so everything's very dark. So you see on the right display, the SA3 anti-air system. That is our first target. So we're gonna try to take that thing out. And the harm missiles they're just really cool. Like it's easy to use the HAD system and lock on and take on these air defenses, but also when you you'll see what they do when you shoot them. They are kind of fire and forget. You lock the target once it's within good range, you fire, and once you fire you can just move on with your life. As you can see, we're locked on, but we're locked onto the wrong signature, so now we're going to lock on to the SA3. And if you look in the top right of the left display, it says PGM and a number. That number, you want it to be 2. When it's PGM 2, that means it has the best lock that it can get. So we're going to wait till it gets to PGM 2. Once it does, we're going to fire our first harm missile. So we're just going to cruise and wait for that. Now we're at PGM 2. Okay, so there's our harm missile away. You see how cool the harms are. They come out and they climb up into the atmosphere and then come down, raining death on their target. So that SAM site should be no more in a few minutes here. Now it does take a minute. Once you fire a harm missile, you just kind of forget about it and go do whatever else you're going to go do. And then we should get hopefully a target destroyed confirmation here in a couple minutes. As you see, there's a lot of air defenses around the enemy base up here, so we have a lot of options what we're going to be able to do here. We're going to try to take out that 15, the SA-15. I think it's SA-15 is what it's called. And there we go, target destroyed on that first anti-air target, so it is down. That's one good kill. Now we're just trying to lock up. Actually, we're going for the SA-6. Looks like it's the one that's in range, and it's at PGM-2. So there goes our second harm missile. You see it climbing, seeking its target. It's a thing of beauty. DCS is truly a fantastic looking game. And now we have an enemy aircraft. We're switching to air-to-air mode here. We have an enemy aircraft actually really close to us, and we are danger close. Looks like it's a JF-17. We're going to go ahead and try to lock him up. Yeah, see, he's already 24 miles away, so he's really close. He's going to fire on us any second. I'm going to try to maintain as much speed as possible. We're in a full burn now, trying to gain speed. He is quite a bit lower than we are. He's at low altitude. We're at 18 miles. We're going to fire our missile at him, and we are going to break right. There's our second ground target destroyed. Radar system destroyed. And we are going to start to dive to gain speed. If this first shot that we put on him doesn't take him down, we want our second shot to be really high-speed missile at close range. So we're going to try to remain hot on him. We've got an incoming missile that we're trying to avoid right now. We're going to fire a second missile at him at just about 10 nautical miles away. And we are going to get low and fast. Full burn still. Trying to see. And there's Splash 1 Bandit. There goes the JF-17. So he is down as well. So that is 2 anti-air targets and a JF-17 destroyed in one flight. And we are going to RTB. Now, I've mentioned this before, but everything that I'm doing, both in the cockpit and the flight controls, are all being done on an Xbox controller. My good friend Tuvas has a YouTube channel that is dedicated to playing DCS and other games, but mostly focuses on DCS with an Xbox controller and how viable of an option that truly is. And finding him allowed me to give DCS a try, because I don't have a flight stick and throttle right now. Haven't had one in many years, and don't really have. I live in an apartment. I don't have room for a full flight chassis or anything like that right now. So an Xbox controller was about my only option. And when I found his YouTube channel and found that it was possible to play what is the most hardcore simulator in the world on an Xbox controller, I said I gotta give this a try. And not only does he show you that it's possible, but he also shows you that you can be an incredibly good pilot with an Xbox controller in DCS. I have another friend who's part of the group that runs this server. This server is the Coliseum PvP PvE server. It has AI enemies as well as tons of slots for human enemies. Has a dynamic battlefield where ground targets go to war and kill each other, and front lines advance. There's tons of ground targets for all kinds of missions and operations. There's AI enemies on both sides, so you can join red and fly whatever red aircraft you want and fight blue AI, or vice versa. So it's a great server, but you know, the guys that I fly with, they're competition pilots. The guys that run this server, they fight in SATAC and all these big international competitions where DCS pilots from all over the world come together and they do battle. And one of the guys that's on the comp team, who's, you know, you have to be an exceptional pilot to be able to be on the comp team. One of the guys that's on the comp team flies with an Xbox controller, and he's really, really good with an Xbox controller. So you can be more than proficient. You can be excellent if you put in the time and really, you know, learn how to use the tools available. So as you can see, I keep looking back because there is another JF-17 at our 5 o'clock. He's pretty far out, and he's still kind of in the range of their air defenses, so he's still back toward home base, but he is tailing us, and we're about to have to slow down a lot. Right now we're cruising just off burner, but we're about to throttle back and scrub a ton of speed off to come in to make our landing at home base. We're landing at Sochi. As you can hear, I just throttled back, so that's all the way back to 0 throttle. We are just coasting right now, trying to scrub speed. We're going to try to get down in these mountains so that we're kind of less vulnerable. And we're going to come around and land at home base. We just got to keep an eye on that guy who's at our 5 o'clock right now, just kind of hanging around back there. The AI on this server are super aggressive. They are set at the highest difficulty. They're not like a lot of other servers that have AI enemies where they're just punching bags and you can kill them easily and they don't put up any kind of fight. On this server, the AI is extremely aggressive. They will chase you all the way back home when you try to RTB. They're very good in air-to-air. They're very good in BVR. They're still not going to be as good as like a top human pilot, but they're really good, and they put up a really good fight. And for somebody like me, who I'm definitely not an ace pilot, but for somebody like me with the skill set that I have, the AI puts up a good challenge and keeps me sharp, keeps me, you know, on edge at all times. So you see we're getting close to our base here. Scrubbed off a lot of speed already. I think right over this hill to our right here is where the airfield is. So we've got our gear down. You can see that enemy jet when you on that right screen right there. He's still just lurking. He's coming up behind us trying to get a cheap kill, but he's going to be dealing with anti-air systems because our base has got a ton of anti-air systems. Actually, you can see it right there. If you look, we're putting down our landing gear here, but if you look, the anti-air systems are firing on that JF-17. And there he is. There's his contrail back there. So he's risking it all just to try to get a cheap kill on us as we return to base. So we're going to try to set this thing down so we can refuel and rearm and go back out for another mission. Hopefully we can get on the ground before this JF-17 shoots us in the back. Although he's got his hands full right now with these anti-air systems. So for those of you who might have followed me a long time ago, whenever I did a lot of Microsoft Flight Simulator, I still fly on Flight Simulator, but DCS definitely has more of my attention these days. If you can fly in Flight Simulator, and you can take off and you can land and you can do all those things, then you can definitely fly in DCS. It is a little more on a razor's edge. You know, the aircraft are, it's more like think about it like if you because the aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator are civilian aircraft. They're beautiful. They're super relaxing and peaceful, and you're flying the friendly skies, and it's super enjoyable. But there's not a lot going on besides taking off, looking at some beautiful scenery, and then landing at your destination. There's not really much else going on. In DCS, the flying is really good, but the flying is almost secondary to the surviving or killing, because you are at war. You are flying war machines. You are taking on combat situations and simulations of missions and things like that. You can see this JF-17 has made it all the way to our air base. He has dodged all of those missiles, and somehow he is still alive. And our air defenses are still firing on him. You see him on the right screen there. He's close to us, like really close. Let's see if we can get a visual on him. There he is. If you look right there, right above that satellite dish, there he is. He's coming in. I don't know if he's trying to kill us on the runway or what he's trying to do, but he is not going to survive this. There's no way. There's way too many. You see him popping flares. He's running for his life, and there's missiles zooming past him. You can see the different missiles zooming past him. There's another one that just missed. Oh, that one got him. That one got him. There's some arms fire too. So Splash 1 Bandit over friendly air base. He made it all the way to our base though. That's an AI against SAM sites. AI SAM sites. That's pretty cool that he was able to make it all the way here. The JF-17 is, I don't own it, but it is a pretty awesome aircraft, I can say that. And the SD-10 is one heck of a missile. That thing is nasty. But, yeah, that was pretty cool, seeing him come in all the way to our base. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm going to link Tuvas in the description so that you can find him if you are interested in learning how to have a controller hooked up to DCS and how to use that as your controls for flight. It's really not that bad at all. It's not hard to set up, and it's really good. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.